All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
And today we are discussing Monstress, written by Marjorie Liu and art by Sana Takeda. So, Talon, you chose... Oh, and I should say also, before we move on to Talon and why he picked it, this is volume 1 of Monstress, titled The Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So, why did you pick this book, Talon?
So I was originally I had this like saved as a favorite because one of the writer for this comic is Marjorie Liu, who wrote a series called The Young Elite. Hello, this is Talon. After this episode was recorded, I realized that I was talking about two different people. There is Mary Liu, who is a writer of young adult fiction, best known for the Legend series, or for my case, Young Elites. But then Marjorie Liu is a New York Times best-selling author, and she is most acclaimed for her horror fantasy comic Monstress. So yeah, two different people. So yeah, proceed. It's a novel series, and how I got wind of that was because at one point I was thinking of a story that needed to be told from multiple perspectives. And so Young Elites is apparently one of those books that I could like read as an example of that.
Gotcha.
Did you like the book, or is it just one you were going to read?
That was what I was going to read it. I actually have not.
All right.
I started it.
And only got one perspective.
Yeah. No, I actually no. So I stopped right as the second perspective came up.
Okay, so I was right. I was right.
I mean, I got a little bit of the second perspective.
You're like, it's too much.
I guess you could say I didn't like the story. I don't know.
Okay.
It was interesting enough. Anyway, so she did this comic, and so I was like, oh, cool. This is somebody I know. All right, saved it. And then last week when I was going through what to pick, I was like, I want to do something interesting, but also I want to do something not typical that I would normally pick. So this was it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
It definitely lived up to that.
For sure. Yeah. I was definitely.
Typical.
Oh, what were you gonna say, Shwenta?
Oh, I just said it's atypical for sure.
Yeah. I was surprised when you picked it, just because like it's not on my list for picks, but it is one that I would expect to be on it because I've heard a lot of chatter about it.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't think it says it on here, but I know that this has been like nominated for some award, and there's been a lot of people talking about it, when it was coming out monthly. I mean, it probably still is coming out monthly, but when the first issues were coming out monthly. And yeah, I was kind of expecting maybe a lot because of that, like I feel like I can't like say exactly who, but like I feel like what I read were people saying like this is like the best comic coming out right now or something to that effect. And so it was like, okay, yeah, this is like a big deal or something.
And they got Neil Gaiman on the cover.
Yeah.
Doing his little review.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman said, "Remarkable, a beautiful told story of magic and fear."
Okay, I see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
We had to do a fact check.
Fact. Neil Gaiman has an opinion. All right. Anyway, so this story. I'm going to let you take the lead on summarizing it.
Yeah.
There's a lot that happens, and it gets a little confusing.
Yeah. So we start off kind of like in the middle of an action, or in medias res. But
Yeah.
anyway, so the main character, whose name is Maika.
Maika.
Maika. So I think it's Maika.
Okay.
I'm glad somebody remembered.
Well, I mean,
Because I actually don't recall it at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so basically, in this society that she's in, they're referred to like she's in an auction, basically.
Right.
And so the kind of the what we get from this first scene is that there's humans, there, and then there's like these race of people called Arcanics, and the people there in this auction do not view Arcanics as human beings
or people.
Yeah.
And often Arcanics don't look as humanoid.
Yeah.
Like some of them have tails and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Our main character is like the most human looking. Like she just looks like a person who's missing her right arm.
Yeah. But apparently she looks enough like an Arcanic that most people will not be confused that that's not a human. Like, I don't know. Maybe it was just the people that she was around.
Yeah. I think it was like, they were convincing themselves, and trusted in the authority of the auctioneer and like, what that institution basically represented, that they were not buying a human because like they were very powerful people. And so it would be very unwise to sell them a human under the guise that it was an Arcanix.
Yeah.
We're criminals, not savages, is what they say.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we don't buy humans. All right. That's not.
That would be so horrible if we did.
Yeah. So they're selling the main character.
Yes.
And so this woman named Sophia, who is a representative of an religious sect called the Cumea, bought her.
Yeah, actually pretty much just demanded that she be donated to them.
Was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to show that the Cumea how much power they hold.
Yeah. And so she gets brought into their like main city, which I forget the name of right now, but
Zamora.
Zamora.
It is. Yeah. I guess if you read some of the history lessons, it's supposed to be like a great hub of trading at one point.
Yeah. And so she gets brought there. They do a bunch of horrible things. She gets brought there with like 4 other like child Arcanics who look not very human.
Yeah.
To be fair.
But I mean, like...
they have like wings and then like foxtail and fox ears, and one of them's a cyclops. They're not like crazy out there, I think.
No, they like the way that they're drawn, they're cute.
Yeah. They're very cute children.
Yeah. And so
we can't root for ugly children.
So they get brought into the compound, and turns out that they eat Arcanics, like,
or they harvest them. I think that this isn't clear at the beginning of the book, but definitely at the end, because it's like the last explainer page basically is the bones of Arcanics have a substance called Lilium. Lilium, yeah.
Gotcha.
And
I didn't realize that that's where
magic
came
powder.
From.
Magic powder, magic liquid, yeah.
Gotcha.
And it can be used in concentrated forms by humans to revive, give extra powers, or extend life.
Yeah.
Did you say that the Cumea are almost all witches?
Yes.
I mean, they're referred to as witches.
Yeah, witch nuns.
Yeah, I think it's it's probably just the entire religious sect is probably we all do magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the main character helps break out all the Arcanics that are trapped there, and she kind of stays behind because she's trying to look for somebody.
Yeah, she didn't even intentionally break them out. She just wanted to get free so that she could so the person she was bought by Sophia, and then Sophia's, doing all the experiments on the Arcanics. She's even hosting like little kid witches to have like classes as they like cut up these, monsters, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Sophia's mother is nearby, right? She's also a magic user.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but she's
and that's who
like,
the main character's after.
Yeah, she's kind of like confined. I don't know how exactly she's depicted, but basically like not necessarily very mobile herself. And so
I think that's by choice mostly, isn't it?
I'm not sure. It seemed kind of could have gone either way in that one. Yeah. But yeah, so goes to find her mother, or Sophia's mother. Does that. Turns out that Sophia has...
Wait, doesn't she fight Sophia first?
Yeah, but I'm skipping over parts.
Okay, well, I will say she burns Sophia alive and is like, well, she's dead. Cool. Can I go find her mom now?
Yeah. And so when she does, turns out that her mom has this mask that Maika doesn't really even like care about. It seems like she's just like, oh, it's there. But her mother gave a piece of that mask to her.
Yeah, because it's a fractured mask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Maika has a piece of the mask from her mother, and she knows her mother was killed by Sophia's mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then she learns that that there's some other relationships that her mother knew, or some other people that her mother knew that she wasn't aware of before. And so that kind of she escapes completely from the compound with the mask, and basically I think her plan is to figure out who those other people are. But she like gets sidetracked from that. I can't remember exactly what happens off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, after that, basically, because she kills Sophia's mom. Mm-hmm. And she's dead. And also, I guess I think at that point, it is revealed fully the entity that is inside of Maika. Because that's what really kills Sophia's mother.
Is that what happened?
I believe so.
It's a little confusing because I thought originally that the mask brought forth that entity, but like you said, I'm pretty sure it always existed in Maika.
No, she wasn't killed by the creature.
Okay.
Within her. Yeah. So we don't know that part yet.
Gotcha.
And so what happens after she kills Sophia's mom is that we go to the next issue, and that's kind of it seems like a flashback at first, but I think it's actually present day of the Mother Superior entering the compound after all this happened, and just like, well, this is a problem that we need to fix. And so she revives Sophia's mom because she has some valuable intel, I suppose.
Yeah. Also, question real quick. The fact that Sophia's mom has fangs, was that supposed to imply that she was an Arcanics or something secretly? Or I don't know, she just looks like a vampire.
I didn't really notice her fangs.
Yeah, they say something about it Now I know why you stayed away from me all these years, why you remained among the savages.
Wait, Sophia's mom?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's...
Or the Mother Superior?
Mother Superior, yes.
Oh. I
don't think
so.
I don't think that has to do with the fangs.
Oh no, not the fangs. The mask though.
Oh.
If you're talking about the Mother Superior, the mask is the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so then we do get a flashback of Maika talking with a friend of hers named Yuma? Not Yuma, but Tuya.
Tuya. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So talking to Tuya and basically talking about her plan, and she's like, that stupid plan. But now she starts getting flashes of something else, and it's the hinting towards the other entity that's inside of her. And it turns out that she had killed one of the kids. Or supposedly.
Yeah, Maika did.
Yes, Maika. And what we are led to believe is that there's something inside of her that killed that. Or, yeah, something inside of her that killed the kid.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not exactly sure
So
what it is.
sucks him dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it basically sucks the life out of him, basically.
Yeah.
And so she's traveling with a few people, and then what they're called Inquisitrix, which is basically the Inquisition, but the Cumea. So, and so they catch up with her, and everyone else who's helping her out. And then that's when the creature inside of her emerges, and it's just kind of like tentacly.
Wood tentacles.
Wooden tentacles, you'd say?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
More like...
like leaves at first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it has eyes. Lots of eyes.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So... yeah, so basically they're able to defeat that troop of the Cumea, at least make them run away. And then with Maika also has another kid that like just followed her around.
Right. Yeah, the fox-eared and tailed kid.
And so she's following her, and then she's still I think she's still continuing with her plan to go to someplace to get more information, right? On the people in that photo.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
vaguely
basically her plan. She kind of got sidetracked because she got knocked out after she released the power within her. Mm-hmm. And the cat, who is a general for the Arcanics in the war between them and the Federation, basically kind of like rescued her and the fox kid, and they are traveling in the no man's land, basically the peaceful territory between the two sides, with somebody who is a human, but they are an Edenite, and Edenites basically believe in peace between humans and Arcanics, somewhat resembling, the peacefulness of like Quakers, it seems like.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And so then this next issue, we get introduced to the Dusk Court, and they are what seems to be the people closest to like the old gods, I guess.
Well, no, because they're just
they're from they're made of ancients, right?
Yes.
Ancients. Okay.
Yes.
Not old gods.
Mm-hmm.
So they're closest to the ancients, but I don't think any one of them is particularly an ancient.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They're descendants of the ancients, basically.
Okay.
And led by ancients, like the kings
The
and
queen of wolves or whatever.
Yeah. And that's true for the dawn and dusk.
Dawn Court is another court that
Yeah.
I don't know if we see.
Not
I don't
really.
think we do.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But basically, they have a warlord, which I guess is like head chief of security or something like that. I don't know the closest representation of that, but we get this scene where they're talking about how they need to. They're trying to get rally forces together to defend the Dawn Court or something like that. But the Dawn Court is portrayed as like cowards, not willing to fight back, and the warlord's like, we need to defend them even if they won't defend us,
Right.
kind of thing. And the head priestess, I don't exactly know how you would say
The wolf one.
Yeah.
That she is an ancient.
Oh, okay. I didn't get.
She's
that.
queen of the wolves.
Okay, gotcha. She's not as enthusiastic about that idea, and continues to deny that, or not support that. And so then we get an interaction between Maika and the entity within her, and basically he's like, I can't go to sleep. Like I don't understand what's going on here. But he knows that he's in somebody else's body, and essentially Maika is able to have like a conscience. They're like in this like room basically inside of her conscience, and so she's able to have an avatar within that room, and that creature is also. And so they're trying to figure out like what's going on, and then in the real world, like Maika's is like, I'm gonna tear you out if you don't stop talking to me. Like I will figure out how to get rid of you. And so we get interactions between her and the kid and the cat, and then that's when someone from the Dusk Court comes in, says, "Hey, I'm here to like pick you up," and then it's revealed that he was sent by Tuya, which Maika is suspicious about because she's like, Tuya does not have any connections with anybody in the Dusk Court, so I don't know why. And then the next issue, we get a flashback to the beginning of Maika and Tuya's relationship, and basically it's very reminiscent of like the Jewish
concentration camps.
Concentration camps, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's mostly because of like the barbed wire, right?
Yeah.
And the little kids being kept with collars.
Yeah, and torn clothes, I guess.
Yeah. So so this guy that is from the Dusk Court is basically like, he has wings, so he can fly around, and he's like a warrior. And so he's like, "Hey, I'm here to bring you back home." And so he does so. Then we get this scene where where Sophia and her partner, I guess, are talking, and she's like, "Hey, don't worry, we'll get them. You'll get better."
Yeah, because Sophia is burned.
Yeah.
Significantly, she is alive.
Yeah, and they use the Lilium to revive her.
Right.
And so then
she probably was gonna die otherwise.
Yeah. And so then we see that actually her partner is like a double agent, and so she goes to visit some guy, or Sebastian and Rezik. Rezik being the
Rezik was
brother.
one of Sophia's slaves, and it comes out that he's working together with I can't remember her name. It's like Atena or something.
Yeah, Atena. That's her name. So that's the partner of Sophia, and Rezik is her brother.
I was a little confused by that part, but now it makes sense.
Yeah. And so they're just talking about how I don't know, like they're talking about Maika, and like, man, she's not like anything I've ever seen him. Rezik's kind of like, that's suspicious.
Yeah.
And so, what is?
Yeah. Then.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Cuts back to the Mother Superior's search for Maika and the missing piece of the mask that she stole.
Yeah.
Which apparently the Sophia's mother is kind of like a search dog for. She can sense it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like.
But she was, I guess, at one point she came in contact with the mask. That's why her face is like that. So now she can just sense where her piece of the mask is.
Yeah. And so then, Maika gets brought to the Dust Court, but actually they don't want to help her. They imprison her. And so
they want to kill her permanently.
Yeah.
Or use her for the war. It's kind of a little bit unclear, or well, not unclear, but like, there's tension within the court about what to do.
Yeah. And so we get like flashbacks of information regarding like her mother and what was going on with her mother, being Maika's mom, and what she was doing with the mask and how that came to be. And that's when Mother Superior and her troops reach the Dust Court and start raiding them basically. And
big ol' airship.
Yeah. And so it turns out that they reach the chamber that Maika's in, and it turns out that the creature that within Maika is related to Mother Superior because of that eye. She has 3 really weird eyes on her face.
They are like sideways eyes, basically.
And that's what her mask covers up.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't know the connection, but that's something. And so they fight, and Maika is able to escape with the fox-eared kid and the cat. And it is revealed at the end, there's a short person talking to the winged guy, and it's revealed that short person is actually Tuya, which is significant because that short person was the same person who was like, we need to kill her when all the when the Mother Superior came in. We were like, okay, we gotta kill her right now. She's too dangerous.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, which this whole entire time, Maika is like, yeah, I'll win you back, whatever, because basically the message that the cat that she's traveling with has given to Maika is that I won't be there, I won't be at home when you return.
Yeah.
And so is basically just saying, she thinks that there's, they can reconcile again, but obviously Tuya knows more than Maika thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just get into the parts that we liked, I guess. So what did you guys like most about this book?
As we talked about, Neil Gaiman was like, this has got a rich story and rich lore in there or something. I don't know. Whatever blurb they used. It's got a lot of lore. That's for sure. There's no question about that. There's a
built
lot
a
of things
world
going on in the world. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say that as far as things that I liked, yeah, I think that there was a lot of kind of well, not moral dilemma necessarily, but they were definitely trying to make a story that kind of questioned, everybody's motivations, I guess.
Mm.
Let's see.
Ray's the anti-hero.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean the main character, killing that large group of people. I mean, she didn't do it on purpose, right?
Yeah. No, definitely not.
Probably
Yeah.
not. We
Also,
don't know.
I don't even know if she knows that she did it.
Yeah.
That's true, actually.
Are you talking about the Cumea stronghold?
No, the
No,
Constantine.
Constantine.
Or Teen-tine, whatever.
The incident in
Okay.
the war, I think, where like 150,000 people died.
Okay, hold up, back up. That's part of the story that she was the cause of that?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of implied that helped keep this like peace treaty sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
Because
I
they
thought it
think
was like
for
the
once-
cause, because magic nuke, and then they thought they had a magic nuke, and so they did peace treaty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's, yeah.
Okay.
And which one was saying, too.
Did I say that it was? Did I think it was too indirect, or was I saying it was too indirect?
I thought it was saying like it was keeping the treaty, or I thought it was the cause of the treaty.
No, it is the cause. Like it happened during the war, and then they're like, oh, we don't want to lose that many people again.
Mhm.
Don't use your magic weapon. And they're like, okay, you don't have a magic weapon?
It's like,
don't
yes,
have a
that
magic
magic weapon.
Yeah.
We definitely have.
Okay.
We won't use
Yeah.
that again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I remember that part where they're like, yes, we made the enemy think that we have a magic weapon that caused all that destruction, but we actually don't. I remember that part.
Yeah. And that was Maika.
Okay. Don't remember that.
Yeah, and her little ancient arm buddy.
Okay.
Buddy's a strong word.
Gotcha.
Ancient creature that's just always been inside her.
Wait a minute. It's just like Eddie Brock. I gotcha.
Yeah, I
I
think
guess not always. It's since they discovered the mask, right?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes. Well, because he was
Wasn't
like
born with it.
awakened by the mask.
We'll just, yeah, I guess, okay, it's supposed to be vague about how it happened because we're supposed to reveal it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Ancient god, just hanging out.
yeah, other things that we liked.
I liked some of the lore stuff where it's like, yeah, there are just like old gods around. Nobody really knows what their deal is. Nobody can talk to them. But they're like,
just giant,
we can see
pulsing
them,
mountains that are
and
around.
they're there, but nobody knows what's up with them. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked the cats with multiple tails.
Mm.
Yeah, I do like I think it's the Cumea, probably, the witches.
Yeah.
That are like, you gotta watch out for cats. They have just like a regular looking cat in a cage.
Yeah.
Where like many have died from them.
You know, that you say that, and that is interesting because I think that typically speaking, you know, in literature, like a cat is like a familiar to a witch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man,
Like,
when
what
you said
do I hate that?
literature, I
Actually,
thought.
ooh.
Sorry, Jake.
No, what's? Oh, I'm trying to think. It's like the cats have magic, and when I was reading it, I thought it said necromancy, but that's not what it was. It was necomancy, and so I don't know if I like that or I hate that.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't seen it in action, have we?
Well, no, just the name, not like the kind
Oh.
of magic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what is that? Can he raise dead cats, or is that he can just raise cats?
I don't know.
We haven't seen it in action.
Maybe it's just the style of cat magic, regardless of what it does.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
called
Okay.
necomancy.
Necromancy.
Cat magic.
Cat magic.
Time for a little cat magic.
So yeah, I don't know if I like that or I hate that, but you know,
Yeah.
It's something.
If it's just cat magic, then I think I like it.
Okay, yeah. I think part of why I think I hate it is because like I read it too fast and I threw an R in there when there was no R.
Gotcha.
I definitely did that too. I thought he was just saying he's a necromancer, and I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, sure. Yeah, raise the dead. Sure, that's fine.
I see.
So this is a new development for me, like necromancy. All right.
Yeah. I wrote in my notes that I like the defeat of Mother Superior. I don't remember it though.
I mean the ending. Of the
Yeah,
book
basically.
where
Yeah.
she just gets like overwhelmed by an old god, right? Technically.
Yeah.
I mean, not an old god. It's the god in Maika, the main character.
Yeah.
She's just like, haha, you think you're special by being not of this world. I'm special too, showing off her 3 eyes, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But then she's like, oh my god, when it actually like attacks her. When Maika goes god mode or whatever.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, she
Super
becomes like a
Saiyan.
banshee, like just screaming. It's weird.
Yeah. And I also enjoy the reveal of Tuya as that like small creature who tried to kill Maika.
Do you mean the small person?
Yeah, small person, creature.
He's just a slightly.
It was a hooded figure. We didn't know what it was.
So you like the twist. You like
Yeah.
She's looking for a friend. Her friend was there all along.
Yeah.
Kill her.
Yep.
Yeah. I think also there's some times where there was an amount of suspense, like when she was in the little sarcophagus thing and pumping out the air, and it was like, oh, it's like, know that she's not going to die, but, it's still the mounting threat, and all of that. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's all I got. Well, I mean, I like the art. The art's really
we'll
good.
get there. We'll get there.
So I was like,
I mean, there's a lot of lore and there's a lot of secrets that can be like further explored.
yeah.
I mean, I know I said lore already, but like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
How it all fits together.
Yeah, some of it, you're right, is interesting. And I do like the idea of like using magic to further technology and technology to further magic that this sort of plays with. Especially like, the way they set about in the lore is like, humans, there are a lot of them, but they don't have any magic. Ancients are much lower, but they do have magic. And so like they were kind of in balance until for whatever reason one day they were able to hybrid, and that's where Arcanics came from, who were able to repopulate just as quickly and also had magic. Which is interesting, I guess. But that's why the humans and the Arcanics hate each other so much, is like Arcanics are pretty much just a straight upgrade because they have magic.
Hey, where did Cumea fit in?
I thought that was just an organization.
Yeah, that's a religious sect.
But like, what are they made out of? Humans who know how to do magic?
Yeah.
I think so.
It's maybe.
I mean, I think, doesn't it require Lilium though, or?
Well, they're not like chugging it down like Gatorade before they can do magic.
Yeah, I guess
I don't know. The properties of Lilium, like, despite the amount of lore, what Lilium can do and how it can do it is not like super well defined.
Yeah,
it's just a magic rock.
But
magic.
No, you're right though. I think that's just kind of what my gut said. But now that I'm thinking about it, it can't all be Lilium.
Because a lot of them don't want to like even get Lilium, right?
Yeah.
I like my
Because
hair
it
the way
requires killing.
Right.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
I mean, that's why they keep them all as slaves.
Oh, okay. Well, Okay, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
I always get hung up on the fact that they were eating them, but,
I mean, why get Lilium out of them when you could just eat them?
Yeah.
That's faster.
I guess.
Right?
Yeah. But yeah, so unclear about how the Cumea get their magic, but yeah, it is definitely humans who can practice magic but aren't Arcanics.
Mm-hmm.
But also that magic is not, it's like a studied kind of magic, it's not just natural.
Yeah, they have like a whole school and everything.
Mm-hmm. And religion too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Maybe that's where they get their
coming
magic.
out of the class, just being like, "Oh, I hate doing dissection. Hate this class." Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, what, man? The moral standing of this universe is odd, to say the least.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Is anybody good?
I think that's all I liked. I did not like a lot about this book. I don't know if that was clear or not.
No, actually, that wasn't. Because despite my lack of things that I liked, I would say I enjoyed this book more than I disliked it.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no
Disagree.
Especially coming from where I was like, man, I don't know if I would like this book. Like, because it was like all right, just try something different.
Yeah.
It is different.
Yep.
I can't say it isn't different.
Yeah. All right. So things that we didn't like. Just gonna segue into that.
All right, Jake, this is your time to shine.
The other hand of this lore is that, like, it's, how when we read Saga, we read some of the accompanying material and it was like, yeah, sometimes it feels like this stuff just comes out of nowhere, but the writer has said, and it was like, this is something I've worked on for basically my entire life. It's like building this universe, even though if we don't see it all the time, it's an idea that he has in his head. So that kind of makes some of the stuff that comes out of nowhere, makes it kind of make sense. I don't think that is something that is the case with this book. So stuff like I think they have an outline where, like, stuff that came up to this point where it's like, okay, war between the Arcanics and the humans. Something happened with the magical nuke. Peace treaty. Now into this tenuous peace where we're at. And then, like, there's, like, kind of intrigue about whether or not war is going to happen or not, but anything past this point in the introduction of stuff like the Dusk Court and the Dawn Court and what Lilium can and can't do seems added as the script needs it.
I'm not sure if I totally, like, I agree with the idea, I guess, but I mean, I do think that they have more defined, like, what things are, but it doesn't feel that way. Like,
Not gonna assume that they don't have a Bible out there that they've written, a lore Bible they've written for the story. I just don't think I think there's too much and they're trying to shove it all in and they're like, but we'll tell you more later, kind of, anticipation thing. But they did that for everything. So nothing is explained to, like, an acceptable level. So I think their reveal of information is kind of it's too patchy. They're trying to shove too much in.
yeah.
The excitement of having this much lore in a fully fleshed out world is too much, where they're so used to, like, walking through the world in their own head that they're not able to explain it for somebody who's a newcomer. Like, there's no real establishment. The fact that we get, like, a species list at, like, page 172 is ridiculous. Just put
Yeah,
it in
I
the
think
beginning. Just
I
do
think
it.
there's a better version of this book where it's just like, even if you have to go like back to like Once Upon a Time, which is dumb, but like there were ancients, then there were humans, then there were Arcanics. They started a war. The war stopped, and this is where we're at now. It's like we see the events that happened instead of people just saying, "Oh yeah, there was a war. Oh yeah, 100,000 people died,
Yeah.
and thousands more got."
They never say 100,000 people died. They keep saying like, remember that bad incident? Oh yeah, that incident sucked. And it's like,
I wish we could have seen that. It's like, what is that? Like, they talk about this horrible event of like, there was a hybrid and like it was from some nun, and that's part of what led to war, and because, blah blah blah, whatever the mother's period was charged. Like, why don't you just show us that as like a lead up to the war instead of just telling us that in a wall of lore that's at the end of is that every issue?
Yeah.
pretty much.
We're just like, here is where this weird cat philosopher is going to talk about the world instead of showing us how the world is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're like, we will avoid the bad thing of doing an exposition dump during the story. We'll just do it at the end.
Yeah.
Every single dialogue line is almost kind of like an exposition dump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really
know.
also it feels like somebody like, we kind of said that has this like, massive like story, but it's like mostly in their head. And then they're like telling somebody verbally. They're like, oh, and this thing happened, but this is
So
what
crazy
started.
that the Mother Superior shows up. And
Yeah.
you're like, why? And they're like, because it's the Mother Superior. Like, I need more context for why this is like important or exciting.
Yeah.
People scream a lot and she kills everybody because she can.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
Other stuff who's like, there's like the Edenians, which I guess is like this other religion, which is like, yes, Arcanics and humans can live together in harmony. It's like, why do they believe that? What's the cause for that? Why are they? Is this like a mainstream?
All of them believe it, right?
Is this like a mainstream religious force? Is this like, or is it just like a bunch of country bumpkins who live outside of the cities?
Are you talking about someone with Edenites?
Edenites, whatever. It's something Eden.
Yeah.
Something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but the fact that like they're Edenites and then the ladies like, yeah, most of the Edenites don't even believe it anymore, but the women Edenites do. It's like, why?
Oh, I didn't remember that part either.
Instead of just like showing up and
Well, okay.
betray her.
I don't know if this helps, but the description for this book says that this is a matriarchy.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Still though, it's like,
yeah.
It goes back to my original point. It's like, instead of just showing, like, she just shows up and then like, here's her religion and why she's willing to help this Arcanic, who may have also just murdered a bunch of people. It's like, if this had been established, like, okay, we go to an Edenite sanctuary, that's because they're going to help no matter what. Instead of her just showing up as like, I'm an Edenite, this is why I'm helping.
Like a lack of intention from Maika in a lot of cases, where she's like the vagueness of why she's coming to kill Sophia's mother, who I always forget the name of, Yvette. That's it.
Okay.
Like, I think at one we almost said by accident that like she came to kill her for the mask, but no, she literally just came to like kill her, maybe ask about her mother, ended up killing her anyway because that's what she does.
I thought she
found the mask.
I thought she was looking for Tuya actually.
No.
That's interesting.
No, she was going to reunite with Tua after the special important mission of hunting down Yvette.
And Tuya was all like, don't go.
Gotcha. Okay, so
because she couldn't even do the magic to open the lock, which is like,
I don't. Why is the lock there?
Like she's supposed to be like the anti-hero rebellion. It's like, I get she's also young and so she'll do dumb stuff, but like, if this is the first book in this universe, which I'm not convinced 100% it is.
It is.
Is it really?
Yeah, really.
Okay. Oh, okay. like her as the protagonist is not a super strong choice, I don't think. Her goals are sort of undefined. Her powers are also undefined, but I can forgive that because it's old god, whatever. But like her goals are undefined. Her ability to accomplish them outside of her weird old god powers are undefined. All of her allies are saying, hey, don't do this, this is dumb, what are you trying to accomplish? And she doesn't even know herself, so we don't know. So why would we want her to accomplish any of that stuff?
Yeah, it's not even clear how much of an Arcanics she is, other than the fact that she has a weird old god inside of her.
Which I don't think is something she was born with.
Yeah.
Because like I think it's the weird old god who says like you must be like, you know, of some absurd concentration of like pure ancient blood for like me to even be here.
Right.
Which unclear what that means. Like if you get like different ancient bloodlines like 20 generations later, do they combine? Like does the potency keep? Like what's the rule on that?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Confusing.
So when you guys were talking about like, you know, what's the main story, like go back, talk about this war, like talk about what all these races are, like I was just sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, I never thought about that, you know? And then I think I realized as we continued, I was like, the reason I don't like that is because if I was the writer in this situation, I'd be like, but that's not the story. Like the story is not all this background information.
The problem is they did make that the story though.
Yeah.
It's the only thing they reference. Their motivations are just, everybody's motivations are just in the air. Like,
right.
They're just after Maika. And like, constantly referencing it, okay, but it's almost like all the characters are stuck in the past still. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so
where this sort of importance becomes everything that already happened rather than what is happening now.
Yeah, it kind of feels to me like what the attempt was to kind of do like Star Wars, right? You know, it's like all of this stuff happened, but you know, we're here now and after that, you know, but then it's like they're not focusing enough on those characters. They're still like kind of being all like, hey, this is what happened in the prequels that we're going to do.
Yeah. Okay. So to me, like, I'd take that and be like, well, right. I would think that the correction would be more expanding on like what we are currently like. Maybe leave. I don't know where they would leave mystery.
Yeah, like, I guess I could kind of see where it comes from because like they want it to be Maiko's story, not necessarily the story of this world.
Yeah.
But then like I think the problem is they make the events that happened in the past and Maika like intertwined. Like if you want it to be Maika's story, then make the other stuff like 100 years ago. And like it was an old god that happened and then it's a magic nuke, whatever. And then the old god is back in Maika. Is like you can still keep that the old stuff is important, but it's then more focused on Maika.
Okay, gotcha.
Instead of
it's such an interlinking story for Maika. The thing that happened in Constantine, where she killed so many people.
Yeah,
150,000 people. But yeah, then the fact that it's like 12 years later.
Yeah. And I also...
Now she's 17 and girl bossing around, getting herself captured.
On purpose.
On purpose, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, the first time.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
I like that edit that you kind of suggested, Jake, though, because, yeah, it would really, that would give Maika more to, like, discover and, like, I don't know, just be like worried about for herself.
Like, yeah,
she hasn't had time to establish why she's important
Yeah.
to the story and the world or whatever, because she already is important to the story and the world. That happened a million years ago.
Yeah.
She's the most important person.
Well, that's a good point.
You know, like I kind of get like where they're coming from too. It's like, don't get me wrong. It's like some of the stuff I see where they're coming from and I understand behind it. I don't think the execution is done well because like how it is right now, it's like the old war is basically World War One, and they are in the lead up to World War 2 in the story right now. It's just like, I guess if the 17-year-old girl was the Treaty of Versailles, but the Treaty of Versailles also blew up Paris.
Yeah, because I mean,
You mean as if a 12-year-old girl was Hiroshima, right?
yeah.
But that was the end of World War II.
Well, yeah. Maybe
I gotta keep the analogy going.
maybe it was World War II was first, and then it's the Cold War now. Does that work?
Yeah,
Is that
I
something?
guess.
I need to see them threaten to use Maika on each other.
Yeah. Are they developing further magical armaments?
Yeah, I gotta see the Magic Proxy War. Like, what's Magic Korea look like?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely it's not a perfect analogy for real
But yeah,
world
why I
events.
went with World War I, World War II is also because of the weird magic concentration camps, which I also don't love.
Yeah.
Just as like a story beat, it's like it's a lot to put in your book, but not immediately address the idea of magic concentration camps. So like it's just I don't love that.
And
Gotcha.
yeah,
Just add in a little flavor.
they also have a Rhineland too.
Oh yeah, it's like it's not great. I don't love it. Some of that stuff where it's like the real world parallels are like a little too much, but they don't give it the amount of time that it deserves.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Trying to think if there's anything else. I think we like pretty much covered it on things at least that I can think of for myself.
Okay, so we said, we did say like, it's like is everybody morally corrupt kind of thing, like as a sort of benefit. But I mean, of course, anything that's a benefit can also be a downside.
Oh
the
yeah,
point where
definitely.
it's like, man, everybody sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Wait, sucks as in terrible person or like written terribly?
terrible person, right?
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
possibly both.
Now you understand how I feel when watching Mad Men. Just to
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
just I needed
Go on
to
a tangent about that.
I needed to make that statement.
All right.
It could not be left alone.
Okay, you can have like morally corrupt characters. I keep using that word, but that's not exactly the right word for them. They're not all morally corrupt.
Yeah.
But they're
Deficient?
just sort of. They're sort of
Like morally in the gray area.
yeah, but there's no redeeming qualities about most people.
Yeah.
Like most of the time you watch one of those shows and you're like, you can kind of see where like their downfall, they've succumbed to their own vices or like the temptations of this world or something.
But you see the good in them, and that like
the good in them that maybe that could come back or is just that used to be there.
Yeah.
But characters are just kind of mean and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And they kill you.
Yeah.
Like,
It almost
and evil.
like it almost seems like maybe the resistance, like with the brother and stuff, like the brother almost seemed like a cheerful good person character.
Yeah.
But
Maika when she got pushed into him, which is so weird.
oh wait.
Wait, what?
Towards the beginning, Maika gets pushed away by Sophia when she's first been like taken in as captured.
Right.
Oh, was he there too?
And he just like he was there. You're supposed to notice that he's there.
I did not.
Yeah, I mean he's the big guy that Sophia's literally has on a chain from like page 2 or something.
Okay.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, he like Maika gets pushed into him and he just like hugs her and she's like, what? For a moment. And then that's just it. So it's like a hint of a great person.
Yeah.
Okay. Weird. Hugs.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
See.
Yeah.
There he is.
Wait, does that he has white hair? Does that mean he drank William?
Probably, but also
Maybe. Who knows?
who knows?
His sister has white hair, so.
And we know she drank Lilium. Do we?
No, we don't.
Oh, okay.
We don't know.
They're doing experiments with Lilium all the time. Who knows? At this point, it could be like in the air. I don't know.
She doesn't even work there normally. She was just a messenger from the Inquisitrix to Sophia. Like, Sophia, come to the meeting, the super important meeting at the Capitol or whatever.
Oh,
And
that's a good
Sophia's
point.
like, I'm too busy with my experiments.
Mm.
How do I remember this much of this book?
Yeah, I'm going to take your
read
word
it
on it
once.
because I'm not going to go back and check. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, going back to what I was saying though.
even the characters who are like seem decent, that's it. They're just kind of flat.
Yeah.
Like most of the characters seem very flat.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh, like the two-tailed cat. What's his name?
I mean, it's just Cat.
Is it just Cat?
I don't actually.
But there are so many other cats in this. How can it just be Cat?
He actually does have a name.
Yeah.
I just don't remember.
Master Rin. There we go. Rin.
Cool.
It's like he's good and like he's willing to help Maika, but it's like that's his only character trait. Is like
Where
he's
were
kind
you
of good, I
before
guess.
this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was he just out being a cat in the village?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Did he have a farm to
no,
hold down?
he's a general. He's a general in the war on the Arcanic side.
Some little general clothes then.
Man, then he's really slumming it, helping this one girl.
Yeah.
She's the most important girl ever.
Yeah.
Magic Nuke.
I guess.
But yeah, no, I mean, even having a history isn't the same as not being flat, though. And yeah, he's kind of like maybe personality traits. Honestly, for once, pun not intended, he's a little catty.
He's cheeky.
Yeah, cheeky maybe.
Says a lot of stuff like according to the poets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I get whoever the poets are.
Yeah, which, yeah. And I get the feeling that all cats say that. Like, I don't think that's specific to him.
That could be.
Yeah, it's the poets and whoever their cat god is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, because oh man, that just reminded me of like when they're talking through that big lore pile of like where the humans came from. It's like, yeah, they evolved from the fish who were barred from the ocean after offending their fish god. And that's just like said, and like I guess that's like, is that a fact of this universe? Is that like if you offend your god enough, they will bar you from your like realm of existence,
Yeah, I'm
as
not.
in like the ocean or the land, and you will be forced to evolve into a new life form?
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's just
Sounds
a
like
thing.
a more interesting story.
Yeah. Let's try to, like, basically offend the new god for humans and then get, like, cast into space.
Yeah, let's get cast into the air and grow sick wings and fly around all the time.
Yeah, there we go.
You want to become a pterodactyl?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
We become
Arcanics get wings. Why
pterodactyls.
can't we get wings? Let's just
Okay.
offend God again.
But to be fair,
Come on, Angel.
never mind. I have no.
Follow up market.
Gotcha. You know, I feel like if that was part of the lore, I'd want that more as like affecting every human psyche. Just like
An attraction to
brain
water, but
system.
also can't go.
something like that.
Don't eat fish.
Like if it's true, unless it's not.
Who knows?
What?
I don't know. 'Cause
Would
it's-
they just lie to us?
They
Do you
might.
think
So
people
that's,
make
that's
things
the
up?
problem with making the lore as like expansive and wild as it is. Like we see magic do a bunch of crazy stuff. So like when you hear a myth, is it the difference between like we hear about
actual?
We hear about Atlantis and we know Atlantis wasn't a real thing.
Yes.
But in this universe, if you hear about Atlantis or all this wild stuff, it's like that could have happened if they were closer in touch with their god or with their ancients.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been true. You don't know.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So like, where's the line? It's like, where are we gonna hear? It's like, oh, this is just a story that they made up to like scare kids. It's like, oh no, there is a headless horseman who just goes around sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really like your cherry picking of myths from like our world. Just, like
yeah, Atlantis, headless horseman, and I don't know, some other third thing.
Yeah, Santa.
Yeah, Santa's just real.
There's white. God.
I just I don't like. That's probably another thing I don't like about it. It's like, where's the line for this lore? It's like, where are we gonna cut it? It's like, this is too fantastical, because there is no line for too fantastical.
Mm-hmm. I will say, like, I feel like the old gods who are like just like ghosts, like I feel like, you know, that's just one thing that they just added on. Like, we don't need that. Like, it hasn't affected the story. Like, but I feel like that's a lot of things we've been saying.
Yet.
Yeah. That's pretty much.
But so if you saved that for later, would that just look like something you needed for the plot or the?
Oh yeah, if the old gods just appeared, but before it was just like, yes, there are gods, but like you can pray to them and they will sometimes answer prayers, and like it's an immediate like 1-to-1 sometimes like relationship you have, and then you just add a bunch of essentially secret gods, like that's too much.
Okay.
One of these days, one of the old gods, you know, the ones that you see as giant hulking mountains in the distance, one of them's just gonna step on an opponent for Maika, you know, it's a treat.
Because that old god inside of her was friends with that old god. Yep.
Like maybe they at the very end of this book, the old god who's in the Grand Inquisitrix or whatever, like talks to the old god in Maika as if they have like some kind of old god familial relationship, but the old god in Maika has just forgotten.
Yeah.
Right.
So there could be old gods that owe Maika a favor. We don't know. An old god favor, whatever that is.
Yeah. You can really see the family resemblance in the eyes.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
Oh, that's.
Oh, you just got that.
It kind of made me realize that it's not really Maika that's important, right? It's just the things she's carrying around with her.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Get out of the way, Maika.
But she's also maybe important because she, like, you know, is like pure.
She's a proper vessel.
A proper vessel, yeah.
Bloodline, pure.
Who was your dad?
I guess.
One of the characters to be her dad. So stupid.
Yeah, maybe that's.
I get the feeling that the brother of that woman would be the one to figure it out.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were gonna say her dad.
Yeah, that's where I was like,
I don't think that would be your dad. No.
Yeah, it's like no.
Yeah, like the only like male characters you've hit so far are the brother, the two guys who try to accost them outside the wall, and the Dusk Court assassin.
Dude. Yeah, dude.
And the guy that was trying to buy Maika at the very beginning.
That's right. Yeah. And I forgot about that old sleaze bag.
Yeah,
that guy.
room was full of old guys.
Yeah. To be fair,
Sophia girl bossed her way in.
I get the feeling that if there was like another, if like Maika's parent who's like mixed with like when they had a child with her mother, you know, it's like made the perfect vessel. I get the feeling, just on the fact that this book is described as a matriarchy, I don't think they would want to say that, oh yeah, the father is, because it seems like to me that they would be like, the father was someone special. And so I don't feel like they would want to be like, oh yeah, we're going to make this guy like the special ingredient.
I don't know. They have special dudes. They got the other guy that we didn't mention was the Monkey King.
Oh yeah, the Monkey King.
Yeah.
Who shows up for like 4 pages?
Yeah.
Is that too generous?
It's not, that's like way too many.
Yeah, it's like 1 page.
The
But
person who is talking to the Monkey King.
Yeah.
It's just like, it just looks like Maika's mom.
That's what I was thinking.
Haircut.
I think that is Micah's mom.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's her mom.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh.
I need to go back to that part. I don't know who I thought that was, but not Micah's mom.
It did feel out of place because it's just like
yeah.
It just cuts to her, and she's like a general for the Dust Court, and she's talking to the Queen of Wolves and like assuring her about stuff, but being like, you can't just stay here forever. We actually have to do stuff.
Right.
So I mean, wouldn't it be surprising if Moriko, or whatever her name is, half wolf, was working for the Queen of Wolves?
Right.
Maybe she's the like special vet, or like because she's closer with the ancients.
She's wearing clothes very similar to like Anubis style.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still like, oh, are these little hints at things? But also, I'm just like, the same thing. I'm like, it could just be the same character face.
Right.
That would be disappointing.
So like,
I would not.
Yeah,
like
there
that.
is a bit of same face going on in this comic.
All right, we want to
Might be.
shift to the art
yet.
Oh, not to the art yet. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's just that none of the characters really have defining traits beyond just like kind of doing things.
Other than like evil, like immediately evil, like the people doing experiments on the Arcanics, like, and then not immediately evil seems to be like the 2 defining character traits.
Where it comes out the resistance against them.
It's like, yeah, there's the Dust Court assassin is like not immediately evil, and even now, at the very end of this, probably isn't evil.
No, I mean I wouldn't think so. Especially considering I don't know. I feel like Tuya might be like.
Tuya might be setting up for a heel turn when she meets Maika again. It's like, you're too dangerous to be alive. Attempt to murder.
She literally told via the guy, didn't she, that when you go home, I'm not going to be there. Like, I don't know how much kind of leave me alone betrayal kind of line do you need?
It's the heel turn is a little more obvious than I thought. You're right. She did say that.
To be fair, like when I read that, I feel like I skimmed over it, and so it just like left my brain as soon as I read it. So
then surely it made
a lot of stuff in this book. I will agree, Talon. There's a lot of the stuff in this book kind of happened that way.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just gonna kind of skim through this.
Yeah.
If it's important, they'll mention it again.
God, when Maika has this moment where she is like, it's in a flashback where Tua is like, don't go do this thing, and she's like, I'm gonna go do this thing. I'm not gonna talk about it with you. And then she goes and fights. What is it? She does the wrestling or whatever, doesn't she?
Oh man, I completely forgot that was in this book. Oh.
There's just like these other people who have like demon horns. But she has a whole monologue where she's like, yeah, these people are strong, independent, they bring me information, they respect me, some of them fear me. I'm like, shut up, Maika. Yeah, they marvel at my strength. Sometimes I do too.
Oh wait, was that when they were at the bar?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I know almost nothing about myself. I don't know who I am. All I know is I've seen death herself, that I survived. I know that I once had a mother.
Huh, that's interesting. She's seen death. That's never come up again. Or what do you mean?
Well, that time that she accidentally killed 150,000-ish people.
Does she know that?
This is also a world where death could be a physical thing.
Yeah, death, could be walking around with a big old scythe. Could be a big skeleton. I don't know.
Yeah. I assume based on that what she means is I've seen people die.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like Tua has two, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're with you.
They were in a magic concentration camp together.
Yeah.
But that's like you're not that special.
Yeah.
But you are. The story's making you the most specialist person in the world.
Gotcha. Interesting.
So yeah, like literally the reason she kills Sophia's mother is a search for answers.
Mm-hmm.
About who I am.
So okay, general question.
Yeah.
Like you guys noticing these like kind of like pitfalls of the story in terms of, you know, like things not really making sense or having too much information, and specifically about like Maika seeming like not really a main character or not important enough. It's like, how do things like that do they like get overlooked, or do people like not notice, or are they like, oh no, you're so and so we're just gonna let you publish whatever?
Well, no, because
Okay, we can't make any assumptions about this, right?
yeah.
More like I'm saying, why are what we are noticing not as like prevalent?
Well,
like why wouldn't have been noticed before?
Because it's our opinion, really. At the end of the day, you know,
Okay.
we all agree, so it kind of
depends on
seems like it's
how
like
fast
fact.
you
Okay,
read,
that's fair.
Like, you know, like you said, you skimmed over some parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not everybody's doing that. So I think
That's
in
actually
a lot
a
of
good
I think from the writer point of perspective, like
Yeah.
how did they just like go, yeah, ready to publish? I mean, you know, of course there's things to think about like deadlines, promises to people, this will be done by this time, even if you were developing it beforehand. But just also in the developing side, like it really comes together later on.
Okay.
And they're so focused because it's hard because you if you're a writer, you're writing the whole story, right? So you know how it ends, you know what kind of person this character becomes, and you're very attached to them.
Gotcha.
For whatever reasons. You're like, oh, it's super cool, like later on she takes on like 5 samurai and saves the children of the village. Hypothetically.
Yeah.
And you're like, it really shows, you know, how much she cares about people, and she's turned around. But she's got to be mean at first. You know, the characters always have to work through something at first.
Right.
And it can be a challenge to make them appealing to somebody before they've made that change or realize their mistakes.
Yeah.
Or like maybe it's, you know, her backstory's so cool. She's the first ancient god human. I don't know.
Gotcha.
World breaking.
Yeah. Maybe she's
Yeah,
she's one of every 5.
Yes. God, that was so good.
I gotcha.
Yeah, you know, it's your baby and you're trying to squish it into chapters, issues.
Just be served better in a different medium, like just a book instead of a comic.
It would have had the back and forth. It probably would have had more of Maika's inner monologue probably then, which I don't know if I need to hear more.
I mean, to me, that would make sense, I guess, in more of a, not necessarily how it's structured currently, but it would make sense to me that the writer might, like, I don't know, that sounds mean.
They
but
might
like,
be forced to explain more as things show up.
Yeah, because it's
She
still
pulled out the small vial. I knew that it was a secret juice stuff.
yeah. Generally, comics are a lot more omniscient, you know, where we are seeing multiple people's perspectives as they happen. but with a novel, it's generally, with the obvious exception, first person perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're also expected to pick up a lot of visual stuff from a comic, right?
Right.
So, oh, it's a vial. Yeah. Oh, it's glowing. Oh, it must be special. Versus where in a book, they kind of have to spell out certain things more.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So this was covered in the summary, Jake, but Marjorie Liu has the background of a novel writer. Like, she's written novels before.
Okay, that's interesting. Because when I did ask that question, I thought about it a little more. It's like, I've read comic adaptations of novels and the novels that they're based on, and generally the consensus is the novel is better.
Mm.
But I've never, I also haven't heard of like comics going to novels.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that would work for sure.
Yeah.
If you were going to readapt this again.
I can tell you that Marvel Comics have done that a couple of times. They have like the novelization of Kraven's Last Hunt and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that the comic is probably better.
Yeah, considering I've heard of the comic Kraven's Last Hunt, but not the book Kraven's Last Hunt, I'm going to guess yes.
Yeah.
That the comic is better. But I think in this in this theoretical world where that idea happens, I think that would solve a lot of my problems. Is forced to define who Maika is. Is it Maika?
Maika. Yeah.
Who she is as a character before going into this, making her more of a protagonist. That would solve a lot of my issues, but that could just be me saying yeah, if you did it my way, it'd be better, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just in general, there, some of the things, just how it's formatted already, I think needs a lot of work. A lot of the characters I already said, I don't feel like there's proper context for them. They show up on the scene, and we're supposed to feel that that's important.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, Maika's kind of very powerful, so there is kind of sort of no threat to her most of the time. She's just gonna eat him eventually. I must resist eating evil assassin.
Gotcha.
They're gonna die anyway. So I mean, that's why they pair her up with Kippa and Rin or whatever, and the other characters who are not as powerful, who are vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
But she kind of doesn't. She's mean to them, and
yeah,
just kind of. Was she ever nice to Tuya other than as kids? Because
I would imagine so.
I don't know. It might.
Who knows?
Yeah, I guess what I imagine, and of course, that could be anything, but what I imagine based on the interactions is that it's probably the experiences of the war started to harden her, and then it just became kind of more of this codependent relationship, where it's
maybe.
Yeah, we just do things for each other because we always have, but we're not really actually enjoying each other's company, you know.
And then them splitting off.
Don't open up anymore to each other.
Yeah.
Them splitting off was just the last chip. It's no, we're done now.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if your best friend of all time, the only person who ever cared about you, maybe your sibling, I guess, just turned out to be a magic nuke. Could go off at any time.
Well, I don't think I would go, we need to kill them. I think I'd give them a benefit of the doubt.
If you watch them kill 150,000 people, might have certain feelings about it.
Maybe.
God, Tuya is the most interesting character.
And she's not even in it.
Hardly.
She's just gonna kill her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they can have sad reconnection later.
Mm-hmm.
Tuya, you're trying to kill me. Yeah.
Man, I can't. Oh man, imagine Tuya being going super evil. She's already kind of evil, but super evil.
What are her powers?
She drinks a lot of Lilium, gains powers. I don't know how it works.
She has a hawk with her.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. I mean, well, she has to have some powers, I guess, because she's
part of the Discord.
Yeah, and
yes, I thought she just wandered in to help them.
Wait, what is? I'm forgetting the name now. What are they? The animal.
Cumea?
No,
No, Arcanic.
Arcanics. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I was I don't know what you're talking about.
I just couldn't remember. I was like,
She herself is an Arcanic.
yes.
Oh,
yes.
that's right.
So she must have some
That's right. Yeah.
magical. Is she a hawk person? Because she has a hawk?
She can control hawks.
Hawk could just be another person.
They were at like yurts and they were like wearing Mongolian outfit like style. That is one thing I will say. Another thing about this world that feels very inconsistent is that I'm not quite sure what level of technology they're supposed to have because they have airships, man.
Yeah.
Like, but they have slaves, but they have magic, and then like, this is a really stupid little detail, but like, Maika and her mom like doing that archaeological dig to find the mask where they're wearing they're wearing their little explorer outfits. I was like, what?
Because they were trying to find that shaman. Was that the term they used? Who's like who was extra magic in a way that is also poorly defined.
I think she was the first ancient or first half something. She was one of the first of something, and because of that, she was super powerful.
Yeah.
It's like super important lore, but I don't remember it at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, oh man. This book's, I don't think this, is this a book that has like gone on and like sold records and like what I'm going to say is going to sound really dumb?
It might have won something.
Yeah, at least I know that there are people who enjoyed it.
I don't know. I've never let it stop me before. The possibility of sounding dumb. I don't think this book is very good.
Sorry. It's just I understand what you're saying and that you mean like past just your personal opinion, like functionally, you think it's not very good, but also it's funny just the way that you phrase it. It's like, yeah, of course you don't think it's very good.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, you've heard my opinion about like how this book is like how this book sucks, but like I think like objectively the things that come together to make the story, I don't think that story is very good.
So it is an Eisner winner in 2018.
God, they hand out like 20 of those a year.
It won a Harvey Award. It won a Hugo Award.
The Sci-Fi Awards. I guess sci-fi and fantasy.
Oh,
probably.
Okay. I'm going backwards. Okay, let's go back. Wait, no, never mind. It's not in order.
Okay.
I feel like this is where we're coming, like, when we talked about Spawn and like Spawn sucks.
Okay,
At
so
least like the first couple issues.
This comic in particular won a British Fantasy Award, not an Eisner Award.
Oh, not even an American Fantasy Award? They still have a queen over there. It's barely fantasy.
And it also won a Hugo
He's a
Award.
king now, whatever.
Yeah. In 2017.
So yeah.
2017, it was a queen, whatever.
That was the Hugo Award, though. Anyway.
I do want to add, like, clarify, like, the reason I asked earlier of, like, why it seemed like there were some issues is because, like, for me, I think I came at it with, like, this, like, okay, if I was going to write a comic book, like, how would I not do that?
Right. No,
right.
For sure.
And it's like, to me, it's like, okay, like, but then I don't, like, again, realize I don't go outside and be like, okay, what are people saying about this? And so, like Cody had mentioned of like, we all seem to be in a agreement of like where this book stands. And so it seems like, oh, these are obvious problems. But
yeah.
So
sometimes I worry that like, listening to you guys, I'll be like, oh man, I gotta follow the consensus of like, I'm being swayed subconsciously.
Yeah.
I don't think I am.
Yeah.
Not.
Well.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like, I have a, this feels like this would be something that would be written for me, like morally gray characters, fantasy, political intrigue, possibility of war, magic weapons, magic war, gods and whatever. But dear God, somehow they have all the things that I am potentially interested in, and they have like managed to make me completely not like it. I don't know. So I feel like I would almost be the target audience for this, and I managed to it managed to miss its mark.
Yeah. Definitely. Like, I mean, I will say I'm not in the same position totally. Generally, I actually don't like war stuff, like whether it's like real world war or like magic war. I'm kind of just like, it's hard to make me care, I feel like, in political intrigue sometimes. But yeah, like magic world, lots of world building even. Like, I mean, we liked Dungeon Meshi, yeah.
Correction, you guys did.
Oh, excuse. I was mostly talking and responding to Shwenta, but
I can't believe it's such a simple story in the beginning, Talon. It's just a story about food and you're in a dungeon. So good. It is getting so good. Read volume 12, dear God.
all right. Anyway, so yeah, so like definitely like big potential. But yeah, just didn't work for me either. And yeah, I'm almost interested to read, kind of tying back to what you were saying earlier, Talon. I'm interested to read some like positive reviews and see what people particularly liked about it, since we were in such agreement about disliking it.
Like, what characters do you like, Talon?
I mean, I don't know if I can really. I guess what comes to mind is like Maika seems like an interesting character to me. The Sophia seems like an interesting character, given that she's still alive. So it's like, if she had just died there, I wouldn't really care. But it's like, oh, okay, she's alive, and so I was like, okay, I'm interested to see what happens there. And then
that is another thing of like killing a character and then being like, we didn't do that actually. Nobody died.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens between the short white hair, or the woman with the short white hair and her brother. Yeah. I'm interested to see what happens there. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Tuya whenever she meets up with Maika. I'm interested to see what the Dust Court, like, what that enforcer woman was and what she's going to do. Like, so yeah, I mean, I'd say in general, I like this book a lot more than I dislike it.
Yeah.
And so.
But it's not really, it's because of the mystery, not necessarily the characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. You're a little bit invested. Like, I mean, that's, I guess, kind of how I was with Radiant Black, read a couple weeks ago. I wasn't super, like, invested in the characters, but it was like, oh, what's going to happen, though? But, yeah, I just not feeling it about this story at all. I'm just like, I'm not even, like, sometimes I'm like, oh, well, maybe this one's good enough to, like, check out the Wikipedia page for and, like, read ahead a little bit without having to actually read it. I'm like, no, I don't care.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Crazy God nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do we talk about the art then, or?
I guess if everybody's ready to do so. Yeah.
So yeah, as I said, I enjoy the art. I think it's very good.
Yeah, I do agree. The art is, on a technical level, good. I just don't like the design of the characters.
Okay.
I would say the world in general is very disjointed stylistically.
It's like some stuff there's too much detail, other stuff there's not enough detail. Like the guns that the guards have are like super intricate looking. And then like the uniforms are just kind of like big blue and red smudges that don't really matter.
Okay.
It's like I don't really
Feels like
like
they kind of
that.
took cool things. They were like, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool, and then they just like shoved it all together. There's doesn't feel like there's a lot of cohesion like stylistically for the world. Like I said, like they're wearing like traditional Mongolian outfits in the one area, and then there's just like like corporal uniforms for the other area, and just then they meet like the Edenite lady, and she's just wearing very casual farm wear. I don't know. Like this goes back to the kind of like it feels like a really weird disjointed time. Is it medieval? Is it recent?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Other than that, yeah, it is. The level of polish is really nice, but I think sometimes there's not a good sense of the way they do action is really weird. It's a very good illustration style, but for illustrations versus like describing motion, I can't remember specific examples since it's been a while since I read the book, but sometimes the characters would do an action and it felt really weird and stiff. Like I couldn't really tell what kind of movement they were doing.
Gotcha.
So I think sometimes the movement just wasn't great.
And illustrations being like instruction.
Illustrations are typically singular images where the whole story is within that image.
Okay.
Versus a comic which is sequential, which has many images.
Juxtaposed.
Yes, sequential juxtaposed images in time. I read my Scott McCloud.
Yeah. Good.
I know it.
Yeah, so I agree with like kind of what's been said. I felt like sometimes the coloring, I want to say, it made it seem a little flat in certain scenes too. Like, I don't know. Just like a lot of like almost like a sepia tone over it, but not, you know?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, and is that consistent? Like, because I think of like the Edenite and like them traveling, and that stands out to me as not sepia.
Yeah, you're right. That was like, I mean, I think that and probably very purposeful. Like the Edenite country, you know, it's a lot brighter and more pastoral and peaceful, you know, and so it's a little bit of like trying to make the world reflect the kind of the mental energy of everybody, you know. It's like the city is like dirty and like, you know, stressful about war and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But it doesn't look as pretty, so yeah, purposeful, but I didn't like it.
I see what you were doing there.
It was done super well.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I see what you were doing there. I just don't like it.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I guess same kind of thing, like parts of the scene that was like in the Wolf Kingdom or whatever was pretty bright, but like pretty much I think that those are the two places I can think of that didn't have like the darker color tones and everything.
And most of the time there wasn't a great sense of location. Like they're just on the wagon and then they get attacked and they're not on the wagon. Like things are happening but they're never happening at a specific spot kind of.
Yeah, I gotta say that sequence was confusing because she like got knocked out and then she woke up and you're like, How did she get there? How did I get
Not
there?
knock your characters out too often.
You may find yourself in a wagon, and you may ask yourself, how did I get here? Letting the days go by. Cody knows what I'm saying, I think.
Yeah, yes, I do.
You're doing a Seinfeld voice.
No,
It's a song.
it's a song. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I agree though that like sometimes the like when and where things were happening was not well defined in the art. And honestly, like, it did, like, and this might have been what you were saying about, like, illustrations too, Shwenta, but, like, sometimes it didn't really feel like the comic was, conveying a lot, as far as, what was being drawn. It seemed like a lot of the stuff was, as we said earlier, just told to us.
Polish was very pretty, but yeah, there's so much dialogue, and they're trying to convey so much through the dialogue. You just feel like overwhelmed constantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Was there anything else for the art?
Sometimes it's too polished.
Yeah. I could see that.
Airbrushed to perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another statement on the design. I don't really love the whatever old god is in Maika. Don't love that design because it just looks like, and this is gonna be kind of a weird pull, but it looks like Urizen from DMC5 because it's just a big eye and it's got like a bunch of design's similar. Just take my word for it.
Yeah, I'll have to. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Wait, you said DMZ5?
No. DMC.
Oh, DMC.
Yeah, I at least know what he's referring to. Just I know the Devil May Cry franchise. I do not know any of the characters from it.
A lot of eyes and similar visually. So it's like
it doesn't have that much of a sense of style.
Yeah, but in DMC5, it's a big boss character that you end up fighting. But in this, it's just like something that comes out of Micah's arm occasionally.
Yeah.
But man, a bunch of eyes in this, which is like fine, I guess. But like when it comes to visual motifs, it's kind of an odd choice, I think.
Mm-hmm. I actually, I kind of liked that it seemed like it was like kind of like Eldritch horror-y, but it was like also wood grain. I thought that was kind of a cool.
The wood part wasn't too bad, but I think it's been done a million times. If this is like a really important character, it probably shouldn't just be eyes, tentacles, kind of.
Yeah.
Even when it's like standing next to her in her head, I was like, that's it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really like the design of the wolf goddess lady, the wolf queen. That was super off-putting to me. Like I was like, whoa, that's different than everything else in this world. and that's on top of, like you said, things being pretty discordant in this world. Like just like
I can't remember what her outfit was. Was it like a Queen Elizabeth style mixed with
No, it was pretty similar to the Egyptian kind of thing that the other character was wearing. Like not hyper Egyptian though, but just kind of like had some of those motifs though.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just felt like it was like there was a lot of people that were mostly human, with animal characteristics, as are the Arcanics,
that does remind me. I didn't love all the characters that are like furry bait. Didn't love that.
Yeah.
It's like I get it's what the world looks like. I understand, but that doesn't mean I like it.
Yeah, I mean maybe that's where I was starting to go with the Wolf Queen in the first place.
Is that what you're saying? You're like, furry, spotted.
I'm glad that's not where my thoughts went at all.
I was just reminded of the fact that all the Arcanics can look like anything. There's so many that you can look like anything.
Wait a minute.
I did like
Centaur is gonna work on screen next.
I liked the broad like amount of designs, so like they're not just all like they're not like all bird people or something, you know? I did like that. I just didn't like how the designs we saw panned out, I guess is probably a better way of saying that.
Yeah. Because like when you say that, I'm like, I want to see a porcupine person.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
So in the lore, we understand that for Arcanics typically don't look like humans. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
So
I mean, that's what they say.
But the ones who are main characters,
right, are look human.
Going to be human looking,
which is weird for because Tuya is very human looking.
Yeah.
And then the little fox kid just has little fox ears.
Well, my understanding.
And the fox tail.
My understanding was that like you can visually tell that the fox kid is not human because it has the ears and the tail.
Right.
That's what I thought. They don't look human, not they don't look humanoid or like even.
But see, to me, it's like the Arcanics are still human looking. You know what I mean? Like they don't look that different.
I mean, the whole thing, we discussed this already, I thought, like in the summary, where you talked about how, like, it's kind of just a thing they're saying because they take them as slaves, where they're like, you can tell when they're not human. Like, just look at her. And just to make themselves feel better.
Yeah. Interesting.
And less of an established lore thing that they'll always look unhuman. Because look at Tuya.
Yeah. She's very human.
Her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All valid.
Yeah, I guess I agree that I don't want them to all look the same. But, yeah, I guess the ones that did show up, I was like, these are weird.
Yeah. Also, it was weird to me, like, so, what's the fox girl's name again?
Kippa?
Kippa. Right. Yeah, Kippa, you know, she's obviously, like, an actual child. You know, so it's okay for her to look like, you know, cutesy, and that's fine. And then like other characters look like very adult, but then it was like it just seemed like Tuya is just small, but she is an adult.
People are small, Cody.
Yeah. But she like still kind of made to look like a child. And I'm like, that was just kind of weird.
Yeah, that's kind of a good point. I didn't get the impression that, like,
God, I forgot. Like most of the characters that are like good / important are like very conventionally attractive and thin, and then a lot of the like side characters or super evil are just like kind of break the mold. Like remember the lady guarding the prison?
Yep.
And then the Edenite lady who just is gonna be gone forever. But not Maika, not Tuya, not important people.
Well, Sophia. Yeah, I'd say she's
still.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna like give her a cool mask or something.
Oh, she wakes up with a third eye.
Yeah.
3 eyes.
And they also say that her burns are gonna heal. She just wanted to see, you know, her burned skin before it finished healing because she's dramatic. She's like, I have to two-face myself while it's still here.
I said, give me that goddamn mirror.
You can tell that they can add visual like differences between their characters, but they just kind of choose not to.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tuya having the like super angelic like little baby face. She's like, at the very end, when it's revealed she's like been a traitor, and here she has like the super like sparkly little eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It just I just imagine her later as her characterization, like people like fawn over her. So I guess she goes. It's like that's one of her abilities is that people just like want to please her. It's like that's because I was thinking of an anime. Oh, okay, all right, I got you. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, so her face looks familiar to me, and okay, I figured it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, except that would be a cool power, except for she was in a concentration camp, and it's like, that seems like...
It didn't work out for her.
Didn't work out.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's particularly strong.
Anyway.
Get a free coffee every once in a while. That's just called being attractive, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty privileged. Anyway,
Would you read more?
Absolutely.
No.
No.
Elon, please keep me, in the loop.
Oh, okay.
But no, I would never subject myself to more of this. I can't.
No. Like I said, the most that I'm interested is seeing what other people liked.
If it turned out that this like wasn't the start of this universe and there was like some other book that came before this that we were supposed to have read, I'd read that book. But I wouldn't read the sequel to this.
Okay. What if it was a
You're
prequel?
asking for a prequel.
Yes, that's what I'm asking for.
Well, who knows, Jake? There's at least 4 volumes. I think.
I went to read it earlier that like it got good in like volume 12.
No. That's Dungeon Meshi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This book is not old enough to be have 12
book
volumes.
is good in it. Despite what Talon says.
I mean, I didn't read Dungeon Meshi. I don't know what bear trap I just stepped into. I'm sorry for bringing it up.
Okay. Just break it simple
Things you
down.
like.
The only reason I don't like Dungeon Meshi is because there is sections where it's just like, here's a recipe on making food. And I'm just like, no, I don't need this.
1 page.
Yeah, and it's not even a full recipe. That was my complaint. I wanted like specific, like, hey, this is how you make this in the real world.
It's ruined his day.
Yeah.
When
Just say like, let's like break it down as a percentage. Like, how much of a percentage of that book was recipes?
I'd say
5 pages.
I'd say 2%.
1 page for recipe for this chapter. 1 piece. Like.
Yeah.
I think 2% is a good number.
That's
You're gonna ruin your whole opinion of a book over 2%. Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah, and I'm like,
gonna say
Right there. They're
more
all
than
right
2%
there.
of this book was bad. If we're gonna just like break it down in percentages here.
yeah, our weekly changed grading scale.
Honestly, Jake, I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't remember.
I couldn't mathematically break down how much of this book was bad, but I would bet it's more than 2%.
Okay, Jake, what if it was 5%? Are you still going to change your opinion over 5%?
If somebody broke it down and like had the math in front of me and said, yeah, I broke down why I didn't like it, assigned, numerical value to all of that, and it turns out this book, according to you, is only 15% bad, I'd be like, well, yeah, it's like you showed it all to me. I have to say, statistically, this book is better than I thought.
Trust my gut. It's not an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, no,
Wait, Shawenta, would you say that it's 2%?
for Dungeon Meshi.
Yeah, for Dungeon Meshi. Sorry. 2% cooking.
So it's probably 200 pages and then if it's 5 pages, so 5 over 200. That's like that's like 0.5%, right?
Yeah. I'm bad at math, but yeah.
Okay. I will say, I feel like it was not that little.
Okay, hold on. We gotta math this out because this is easy math. 5 pages out of 100 is 5%. 5 pages out of 200 pages would be half of that, which is 2.5%. So actually, Talon, if it is 5 pages, you're pretty correct.
Let's go.
Oh, okay. I'm bad at
with
math.
the two variables of the amount of pages and in the book and the amount of pages being dedicated to recipes.
Mm-hmm.
Which apparently this is a dungeon meshy math breakdown.
Yeah.
At
You
the
guys-
end of our monstrous episode.
Y'all didn't even ask for that.
But here
You
we
got
are,
it anyway.
providing you with what you don't know you need.
Exactly.
Short story.
Anyway, though, I think that's it. That's all we have for Monstress. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been the Comic Panel. I'm Cody,
I'm Talon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawinta.
and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to this channel as it helps us out on the YouTube algorithms and getting us seen by more and more people. You can also reach out to us with any thoughts you have on the things we talk about on Twitter at TheComicPanel1 and on Instagram and Facebook at The Comic Panel. Also, if you want to leave a comment, please do. Let us continue the conversation.